All right, good morning, everyone. How you guys feeling today?
Morning.
Morning, good.
Good, good. I think we should have some more people jumping on in just a sec. They're probably having a late start today. So today, guys, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of things. And one thing that I thought was very much flying under the radar right now is something I want to bring to your attention. If you guys haven't had an opportunity to look at this yet, it's definitely worth your attention and your time. You guys know I wouldn't be pointing you in the wrong direction, and I know that time is very valuable. So what I want to point out to you right now is that I saw an email yesterday from EXP letting us know that we have access to Grant Cardone's training on through our portal. I'm not sure if you guys have taken advantage of that or seen that yet. Who has actually looked into that? Has anyone on this call looked into that yet?
I saw the email and I signed up, but then I missed the class because of other obligations. But I
Okay.
think it's really exciting that it's being offered. So thanks for the reminder.
Okay, no problem. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean. So this is the training. So why I kind of really like it is the fact that it's making us take advantage of it during a certain time, because Grant Cardone has a training called called Cardone University. And when I was running culture back in Jersey, we bought we bought Cardone University, and we went through all of the training material week by week. And there was a lot of great stuff in there. I'm talking about pages and pages and pages of notes that I took during our trainings with the Cardone University. So basically what EXP and Grant Cardone have done, since, Grant Cardone is now, him and his wife are now part of EXP, what they've done is they've allowed us to have free access to Cardone University. And what they're doing is they're breaking it up. They're breaking it up by, I guess you would call it segments or chapters or chunks. So they're breaking up into what they're calling courses here. So last month we had access to course number 1. I didn't notice that until just now. Like now I'm seeing course number 2. And when I click on it and I go there, it basically tells me that I'm going to have access to this between August 1st to August 31st, which is great because that means that it's lighting a match under me, letting me know that if I don't take advantage of these courses and I don't listen in during this time, well, I'm not going to have access to it again after that. So I actually really like that. And instead of giving the agent something or salespeople something and just letting them know, hey, you can take this whenever you have time, whenever you want. You know what happens, guys? When we don't prioritize something, we don't use it, and we lose it. So with this, I like the fact that they've only given us the opportunity to take it till August 31st. It really kind of gives us that incentive to do it. Now, what I will tell you is that we probably don't have time to go through all the training courses together, but I would like to go over a few of them with you guys during these calls and see if we could decipher what we get out of it together. And guys, I'm telling you right now, I know you're probably very busy and we're all got a lot of stuff going on, but if we're going to listen to these, I need you guys to really pay attention and take notes because there's so much good stuff in here, really good stuff. I've already gone through all of this, guys, but I want to go through this again because you guys know that practice and repetition is what makes perfect. Instead of just listening to something once or reading a book once and thinking, okay, I absorbed it and I'm good. No, we go back and we listen to things over and over again, and then we could really take away something that we maybe wanted to implement, but we forgot to for one reason or another. So I'd like to go through these with you guys today, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of good reasons why, but what Grant teaches is so fundamentally necessary for our business. It's sales training, guys, sales training. Now, when we're in real estate, we don't get taught anything about sales training when we go to school. And we come out of school, we kind of just try to bury ourselves in busy work, but we never really learn the psychology of selling. We don't really understand it to a certain degree. I don't think we ever will because it's always changing and there's so much to learn and so much to absorb that I think that going through these slides with a master of sales like Grant Cardone, say what you will about him, but this guy is probably the world's best person when it comes, or best, I guess, teacher when it comes to the sales training. Just look at his whole career. you guys built an empire with very, very little resources in the very beginning. So we're going to go through some of the slides, and we're going to take a break in between each slide and just kind of like chunk it down and see what we could take away from it. So let's go ahead and hold on. Let's go ahead and jump into the first. I think I might have it open, and I think I closed it. Let me see if I can open it up here. Okay. If you guys haven't done this yet, you just log in, you sign in with your EXP passport. And this is a good recruiting tool too, guys. If you guys know people who want to join EXP, and you let them know that, hey, listen, you're getting Cardone University included. Like this is amazing. So something that you guys should really take advantage of. Let's see. All right. All right. Yeah, it's right here. All right. But before we jump into this, I want to just let you guys know that whoever is making it to these Monday morning meetings, I mean, I know, guys, that sometimes it seems like, all right, I'm taking some time out of my busy Monday, because we all know everybody's Monday mornings are busy. I have a million things I got to get done as soon as I'm off this call. But guys, making this time, at least as a group together, I'm telling you guys, is going to go so far in your careers, because just one thing that you can take away from this could impact your entire career. I'm telling you that, guys, because I know people who have gone to $5,000 and $10,000 seminars who have left on day one because they've learned one thing that has dramatically changed their business and changed their lives. So make time for these things, guys, because you just never know what you're going to learn, what we're going to cover, and really how you're going to get motivated by what we're covering here. So make time, guys. This is really, this is work, guys. This is considered work. So make sure you make time for this as well. So let's go ahead and get started with this. Let's see if we can go to resume course. All right, cool. All right, yeah, some of these have very, very early videos of Grant Cardone, but the information is gold, guys. So let's just go ahead and jump into this one, okay? And then we'll go over it together.
Segment, the first rule of selling. This is critical, absolutely essential to understand this. The first rule of selling, no matter what product you are representing, always agree with the customer. Always. This is the single most important, most basic, and most commonly violated rule in all of selling. In fact, in all of communication. If you want agreement, you have to be agreeable, okay? If I want agreement with Steve, I have to be agreeable with Steve in order to get agreement from him. This vital rule is not to be confused with this old saying, which is not true, by the way. The customer's always right, okay? That's an old saying, been around for thousands of years. Customers are not always right. If you've ever been with one, you know what I'm talking about. The point is, right or wrong, agree. Agree as you write the deal. Don't disagree and fight the deal. Agree while you're in the negotiations. Don't disagree. Agree is necessary for you to ever get an agreement. You can never expect someone to agree with you if you're disagreeing with them. It will almost never happen. People are attracted to products, ideas, and people that represent those very things that they're already in agreement with. Who you voted for president last year or 2 years ago or 4 years ago? Hey, man, you got some basic agreement with it. Either that or you didn't know anything about either party. This is a fact of the universe. People move towards agreements. Your friends are those people that you most agree with their core beliefs. Your favorite family members, they're not all your favorites, okay? Are people that you agree with. Those are the people you conjugate with, spend more time with, want to go on holidays with, the people that agree with you. There are the people in your life that you have this most agreement with. And those people are those people you want to spend the most time with. People who agree with move toward one another. People who disagree move apart. The common saying, opposites attract, that's not true. Opposites do not attract and definitely don't attract in a sale. In selling, likes attract, like minds attract, like attitudes attract. And the like is born out of agreement. I like you because I agree with you at some level. See, when there's not enough agreement between two parties, there is no agreement. You get it? When there's not enough agreement between two parties, there is zero agreement. This is the reason a partnership fails. Marriages break up. And the main reason you don't have customers buying from you, disagreement. Most people think it takes two people to resolve a conflict. Untrue. Okay. The truth is it takes one person to agree and there would be no conflict. Because for there to be conflict in existence, there has to be two people disagreeing. I agree, disagreement's over, right? So you're in charge now. The salesperson who wants agreement must give agreement to the customer before agreement can ever be achieved. Even when a buyer is making ridiculous, crazy claims or even exaggerations, agree. I'm with you, sir. I agree with you, sir. I understand, sir. Just because you think what he's saying is ridiculous doesn't mean he thinks it's ridiculous. If he thinks something's black and you think it's white, hey, you're both right. Now, I know you want to take your belief system and shove it down his throat, but the truth is it's black to him. If he thinks it's black and you want to get that sale, you need to see from his viewpoint how it could be black. If he thinks he should wait and think about it and you disagree, he'll solidify. He'll become difficult. His objection will become valid and he will wait and you will never get him to the close. Now, I'm giving you something very basic. Later, we're going to use this material to close with. First rule of selling, always, always, always agree. Look, if you simply agree with him that thinking would be a good thing right now, and let him know that you agree that thinking is important, doing the right thing is important, taking time is the right thing, he'll be more attracted to you, move toward you, maybe not physically, but definitely mentally. And now you have a chance to close the deal. So remember, always, always, always agree. If I ask you, what's the first rule of selling? Don't say always agree. No, always, always, always agree. Once you've agreed, then you can move ahead. Then you can explain that thinking will not change the fact that this is the right product, that he can afford it, that your company will be there. It's going to save you money right now. Making a decision now will actually put him in a better position. See, agree first, close later. Agree with him first. This will bring him to another level of thinking. It will open him up. So, for instance, I want to add a fourth dog to my family. It's a true story. I go to my wife. We have two labs and I got this Great Dane. Okay, and I go to my wife. I'm like, I want to add a fourth dog. And she's like, no way. I'm dead set against it. Not going to happen. What do? First rule of selling: always, always, always agree. Baby, you're right. What was I thinking? It's crazy. The last thing we need is another Great Dane. With a raised eyebrow, she looked at me. You agree with me? Absolutely, baby. I always agree with you. You're right. What was I thinking? We don't need 4 dogs. And she says, she's so cute. Dog 4 done. In the house, lives there now. You get it? Agree, acknowledge, make the other party right for their thoughts, their ideas, their beliefs, then close. There's no single rule that salespeople violate more than this rule. No rule is violated more than the rule of agreement. Agreeing is the road to more sales. You need to drill this, practice this, because man is inclined, particularly in the West, to disagree in order to satisfy his gluttonous craving to be right. In selling, you don't want to be right. You want to get something sold.
Wow. All right. You guys, do you guys get the message there? Who's taking notes?
Yes, and it made me laugh because I had a recent experience with a client, and it wasn't my pride. It was just trying to make sure that I set clear boundaries and expectations, but I ended up losing that client. And I'm kind of okay with it because she had a really terrible attitude, but I do see there were parts where I disagreed with her, and that's probably what really made it fall through. So
It could be. Let's try it out real quick, Tabby. So you're going to be my agent, and I'm going to tell you that I think my house is worth a lot more than what you told me. Okay, so Tabby, you just got done telling me my house is worth 300 grand, and now I'm going to tell you, Tabby, I appreciate the information you're bringing me, but you know what? The way the market is right now, I think I can get 400,000 for my house easy.
you know what, Lewis? You are so right. I completely agree. I've even seen it to where appraisers are giving 5% and above. This is just what the numbers are saying. But as we discussed, once I'm at your house, I take a look at it, see if you've done any upgrades. It could very well be that you are completely right.
Okay, good. All right, well, thank you. I was expecting you to tell me I was crazy.
Not at all. I agree with you completely.
Okay, so what's our next move? That That was pretty easy. You know, I was almost waiting to combat you. And like, you know, that's kind of weird, not having that tit for tat. Right? All right, now
Yeah.
let's try this. Let's try this. Tabby, okay, Tabby. Well, you know, thank you so much for telling me about your opportunity here at eXp Realty. But I really think that I'm best at Keller Williams because they have the best technology and they're the best well-known real estate company in America.
You know what, Louis? You are completely right. Whatever you feel is correct for you at this point in your life, I completely agree. I only want to support you in making the best decisions. You know, the model works for me. I see it being very successful, and you never know, maybe in the future, but if right now is not the time for you, I completely hear you and I agree and I understand.
All right, then thank you so much for seeing my point of view there.
Of course, my pleasure.
Good. All right. So all we're doing right now, guys, all we're doing right now in this one segment that we just absorbed is learning how to agree. Obviously, the conversation is not done yet because now Tabby can ask questions. You know, Tabby can ask questions to the seller. Tabby can ask questions to the agent. Tabby can just keep asking questions because remember what I've told you guys in the past. Selling is just asking questions and making restatements. Okay. If you guys aren't familiar with what restatements are, it's basically taking what you just said and rephrasing it back to them. So, okay, so what I'm hearing here, or what I'm hearing from you, is that you feel that Keller Williams is #1 in technology. Is that correct? Yes, I do think so. Okay, so that's a restatement. All right, so let's go ahead and continue with our next one, and then we'll decipher that one as well.
Okay, I'm going to give you in this segment the first rule of selling. This is critical, absolutely essential to understand this. The first rule of selling, no matter what product you are representing, always, always, always agree.
Okay, in selling, likes attract, not opposites attract. Like is born out of agreement. When there is not enough agreement between two parties, there's no agreement at all. When there's not enough agreement between parties, there's no agreement at all. Let's go with true. Oh, nice. Okay, submit. Next. The salesperson who wants an agreement must disagree with the customer before an agreement can be achieved. That's false. We know that because that's what he said. All right, and question number 3. All right, Tabby, you're going to answer this one, okay? Agreeing is the road to more sales. This happens to be the #1 rule in selling any product and needs to be drilled and practiced more.
True.
Good job. All right, let's move on.
Okay, so this is called the agreement challenge. Okay, this is going to be way more difficult than the simplicity at which I lay it out. Look, you have to practice this thing called agreement, and it's best if you practice with friends, family members, or work associates. You can even record different scenarios into a digital recorder or your MP3 player, or however you record things on your Skype, your video. I mean, look, the technology's there. Just record it. Practice handling other people with agreement first. Remember that? Always, always, always agree. Here's the drill. Try to agree with everyone that you talk to for one 24-hour period. I know it sounds, oh yeah, I can do that, no problem. Guarantee you will not make 3 hours, okay? Try it around your house with your kids. Try it with your wife. Try it with your husband. Try it with your friends. Try it with your boss. Try it with your customers, okay? Every day you're given endless opportunities to do the exact opposite of what I'm asking you to do in this drill, okay? Agreement takes muscle, discipline. Most of us are disagreeing every day and we don't even know it. Again, I'll bet you can't make it through a day, okay? Here's the deal. If you find yourself disagreeing outwardly with someone, you got to start the drill over, all right? So somebody says, you go to your kids, hey man, let's go to school. I don't want to go to school today. Son, put your clothes on, let's go. Oh, flunk, okay? You didn't agree with him first, all right? I know people that have started this drill at 8 o'clock in the morning, by 8:30 it already failed, okay? So let's say your kid says, I don't want to go to school today. Handle him by agreeing first. I understand, son, you know, when I was your age, I didn't want to go to school either, buddy. You know, I hated school, man. Put your shoes on. Let's roll out of here. Okay. See what I'm doing? Agree first and then get the clothes later. Your husband wants to go to see a new action movie. Okay. And you're like, I'm sick of these action movies. I want to go see a romance movie and I want to go see, have a romantic dinner first. What are you going to say to him? Maybe I agree. You know what? I'd love to go see that movie. with you just because I know how that movie gets you all jacked up, okay? But why don't we do this? Why don't we go to the new cafe first, get a bite to eat, and then we go. See, once you agree, it becomes possible for you to suggest other alternatives that are more suitable to you and your desires once you get an agreement. Now that you're at the cafe, hey, you still have some time and an opportunity to sell them on doing something else other than this action movie that you just abhor going to. Either way, you get to spend time with your spouse. But in this case, both win. And there's no disagreement. There's no argument. Agreement comes first. Okay, give you another example. Client tells you, you're in the drill. You're doing the exercise today. Hey, that's way too much money. Now it's real. Okay, now it's going to cost you money, not just happiness. Okay, what are you going to say? Agree first. Sir, I agree it's a lot of money. The payments are too high. I agree the payments are too high. Well, you're not giving me enough money for, I'm not getting enough money for my thing. I agree, sir. I agree with that. I never make a rash decision. I agree, sir. You never should make a rash decision. We're not going to buy anything for 3 months. Excellent, sir. And you know what? That's perfect for me. What you want to do is agree. Sir, everyone that invests in this product, thinks it's a big investment. The truth is, it is a big investment. That's why you should get it installed now so you can start making your money right back right away. I'm selling a roof, okay? Hey, man, that's a lot of money for a roof, right? Am I saying roof right, or am I saying it the way people in Louisiana say it, okay? Hey, I know it's a lot of money. I agree it's a lot of money. You're right, 80 grand is a lot of money. Look, this roof is going to last for 30 years, and there won't be any more leaks, no more costly repairs. You have to do it sooner or later. Let's go ahead and get it done now. See, the bedrooms are too small, aren't they, sir? Yes, sir, they are. I agree with you. So let me ask you something. In fact, that's one of the things I first noticed when I looked at the house. What do you think could be done about it? Oh, well, these are for the kids anyway. It doesn't really matter. See, I agree first and let them handle their objection. Agree and then offer the buyer an opportunity to find their own solution before you start trying to stumble around and find out, well, what can I do about it? How can I solve it? What's the big deal? Buyer says, I never make a rash decision. What are you going to say? I agree with you, sir. I agree. And I'm telling you something, to make a rash decision would be absolutely the wrong thing to do. And I wouldn't want you to do that. However, okay, the truth is, sir, you've been thinking about upgrading for some time now. Look, you've been using the same computer system for what? 9 years, 10 years? It's time you update. If you'd have done it 9 years ago, come on. Hey, we could have said it was rash then. Impractical, didn't make sense. But look, you've been 10 years with the same system, man. Makes sense now. It's not a rash decision. So what are you going to do today? The agreement drill. Agree, agree, agree. I'm with you. You're right. Absolutely. I totally understand. Yes, sir. I know it's too high. Agree, 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 and then handle. Do the drill today. See if you can make it.
Who's up for that challenge? Who wants to agree with everyone for the next 24 hours? Does that sound a little, you know what? I have my kids all the time. They have these things now on TikTok or on, I guess on YouTube that they watch. It's called the parents say yes for 24 hours. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yes.
Or a boyfriend says yes for 24 hours, girlfriend says yes for 24 hours. So basically like anything and everything goes that you have to say yes. So I'm laughing because as soon as Grant Cardone said that, I'm like, oh my God, my daughters literally just asked me the other day to have that challenge with them. So imagine how crazy that can get or how out of control that can get really quick. But if the other party doesn't know that you're doing it internally, mentally, it could be a very powerful thing. So who's down for trying that, trying to agree with the other party, who, I mean, everyone in your life for the next 24 hours? Does that sound like fun?
Yeah. I think it's going to be a little easier for me because, I'm pretty agreeable. You've known me for all these months. I'm pretty agreeable for the most part.
Yeah, you were the first one to agree to my challenge, so I could see. So yeah, guys, this is what I'm going to do. And this is a long time coming as well. I know that we all have workplace, we have work chat and all that stuff, right? We used to have a Facebook group back at Culture, and we haven't put another one together because we have workplace chat, and we tried to create a group there, but I'm going to put my head to it and see where I want to conduct another group so we can kind of stay in the loop for us, the people who attend these meetings, and we want to be each other's accountability and support. I will be sending out an email to everyone at Crew. If I don't have your email address, if you haven't received an email from me, just leave it in the chat now, and I'll add you guys to the chat, make sure that you add your name, your email address, and your phone number in the chat if you think I don't have your information. And maybe we can just keep each other posted. Like, hey guys, I just said yes for the whole day. Or you know what, it's so magical. I just said yes to somebody I would have normally said no to, but I still ended up turning it into my favor. So for instance, if someone says to you, hey, can you do me a favor and I don't know, maybe take out the trash. And usually you're like, it's not my, it's not my job to take out the trash. It's someone else's job. And you say, you know what? Yeah, I'll do that. No problem. And maybe think to yourself in your head while you're taking out the trash, how can I spin this? So now maybe I can get something that I've been asking for a long time from this other person who's asking me to take out the trash. So basically turn a positive into a negative that normally would have been a negative in your head. So that sounds like a lot of fun. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to keep myself programmed. I think I'm going to write it on my hand or something, or put a rubber, I'm going to put this rubber band on my wrist today just to remind myself to say yes to everything. That's an easy way to remember. All right, so let's go ahead and continue with the next.
Okay, so this is called the agreement challenge. Okay, this is going to be way more difficult.
Grant suggested in order to get good at agreeing, you practice for a whole day just agreeing with everyone first, then handle the close. True. Okay. It is best to practice agreeing with friends, family, and work associates first. True. Are you guys enjoying this so far? I mean, give me a thumbs up in the chat or let me know, because I think this is great stuff. Good.
Okay, the ability to agree with the customer is senior to what? All the other rules of selling. Look, agreement is even senior to closing the deal. And I can't even believe I'm saying that because I see the close as something sacred. However, if you disagree with someone before you get to a close, you risk ever getting to the point where you can close. Look, you show me the top 1% of all the salespeople in any industry in the world, and I'll show you people that are masters at agreeing with their customers first and closing them later on what they didn't want to do earlier. Salespeople are constantly trying to sell and negotiate by disagreement. I even do this from time to time and make that mistake. This is no different than trying to swim against the current. In most cases, the person doesn't drown from water in his lungs. He drowns from exhaustion, fighting against the water itself. See, most salespeople drown in the negotiations from exhaustion by trying to overcome every objection, all fighting in disagreement. Start the sale from agreement. Continue to agree through the sale. Make the buyer right. Close later. So repeat after me. This is the vocabulary necessary to agree. Repeat after me. You're right. I'm with you. I agree. I'll work it out. I understand. I'll make that happen. No, you're not doing it. Let's go back to the top. Okay. All right. Here's the pitch. Okay. You're going to do this every day until you get it drilled in. You should be doing it every morning in a meeting. Before your shifts, get it drilled in until you're like, you're right. I'm with you. I agree. I'll work it out. I understand. I'll make it happen. Done. You're right. I'll make it happen. Done. You're right. So you want to drill it until it becomes a muscle, until it becomes almost an automatic response. Regardless of how off-key or incorrect your buyer may be, it is critical that the relationship is built on agreement if you want to make the sale. Some people will say, agreeing when you don't really agree, Grant, is manipulation. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not manipulating anyone. You're missing the point. I am willing to agree because I want to help people. If you see black, I need to shift my focus to where I can see what you see. I see agreeing as an attempt to get along, not as manipulation. I think that disagreeing with people manipulates me out of a sale, manipulates them out of a good product. Why? Because we're disagreeing because I need to be right. Look, if you need to be right, okay, selling is going to be very difficult for you. Look, if you say it's hot and I say it's cold, am I able to shift my viewpoint long enough to see how you could see it's hot? What have I lost? I'm simply acknowledging that you think it's hot. So when your spouse says, oh, this is hot, and you're like, no, baby, it's fine. You're disagreeing. You see, why not just say, really? Wow, man. I noticed it was hot too. And then I got used to it. See the difference? Agreeing is not manipulation. It's understanding. You said it was hot. You didn't ask me what I thought, right? You're not asking me for my opinion. All I did was agree with your reality without adding what I think is cold or what is hot. By establishing basic agreement, you're creating the opportunity to help the buyer purchase your product and service. If the buyer never gets a chance to see what you're offering because of earlier disagreements, then know that you've made an error by not allowing them to see your product, your service, your company, the value, because you got lost in some disagreement. All you've done is put your focus, their focus, on disagreeing rather than on product, on service, on quality, on you, on the company. So this is what I want you to do, okay? I want you to take the vocabulary we gave you earlier, the agreement. I'm with you. You're right. I understand. Take the 10 objections you most often hear. I want you to write them down. You know what they are. Price too high, payments too high, I need to think about it, don't make rash decisions, whatever it is, okay? It's the same 10. I want you to write those down. And then I want you to come up with those agreement responses. So let's say a customer says, I only have 10 minutes. That's got to be one of your top 10. We don't have time to do this today. I don't have time to come in. I only have 10 minutes. All that is time stalled objections. And I watch salespeople constantly. 10 minutes, but I can't do this in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I need way more than 10 minutes. Look, you're spending 10 minutes talking about 10 minutes. Why don't you spend 10 minutes building value, 10 minutes agreeing, 10 minutes winning somebody over, 10 minutes building rapport? So I would just say what? Sir, 10 minutes is more than enough time if we just get started right now. But look, if you only have 10 minutes, I'll best use the 10 minutes and get you out of here. See what I'm doing? I agree. Start the relationship off with agreement. You'll have a chance to tell the prospect, your buyer, later about your product, about yourself, about your company. Okay, so do that today. Okay, write down your 10. Write down the responses you're going to start using. Now, I've been in hundreds of selling situations where this entire process gets wrecked because of this one thing, disagreement. Okay, so here's how we're going to end this segment. You're going to take the 10 top objections you hear on a daily basis, write them down. Okay, if you don't know what they are automatically, you're not doing what we're talking about some earlier segments. You know, I got to become conscious, aware of what's happening around me. So you're going to write down those 10, and then you're going to write down how exactly you will agree with people. Grant, price is too high. Don't have enough time. Need to think about it. Never make a rash decision. It's over my, I can't afford the payments. Whatever. We're not doing anything for 3 months. Okay, write those 10 down, and then come up with your agreement. I agree with you, sir. I would never expect you to make a rash decision. And then, most importantly, I want you to write down how you're going to segue from the agreement to the solution. Now, I'm going to be giving you a lot more information about how to solve these problems. The first thing I want to do is get you familiar with over and over how to agree first. Okay, we're going to only have 10 minutes. Sir, 10 minutes is more than enough time. In the next 10 minutes, I'll give you a price, a payment, down payments, figures on your vehicle in the case of automobiles. Hey, in the next 10 minutes, I'll get you everything you know. I'll get you all the houses we have listed. I'll get you the square footage. I'll get you, be of service in those 10 minutes. Don't fight people in those 10 minutes. So do that drill now. 10 objections, 10 agreements, and 10 segues. Okay, get to work.
How many of you guys here actively do prospecting? Anyone here, or has anyone here actively gone to listing appointments?
I do.
James, what is one of the most common objections? First of all, who here knows what an objection is? James, can you differentiate what an objection is versus, let's say, a stall? What's an objection?
Well, like Grant said, one of the biggest ones I've learned to not come in with, a listing price recommendation too high, because you could lose the potential listing. So people come in and you sit down with them and they think their house is worth more than it is. So I've kind of learned to go with that and try to get them to agree to say, okay, we can go with that price or close to that price. But, I have all the tools to monitor the hits and everything on, Zillow and Facebook and all that. And if it's not, getting much traction, will you agree to drop the price? Because I've learned it's not even worth it to take the listing if it's just going to sit for 6 months. It doesn't make me look good. It doesn't help them move their house. So objection is, he said too high, like it used to be with me. They say, no, that's too low.
Yeah. exactly. Those are great examples of an objection. So if we want to really break down the actual dictionary definition of what an objection is, it's an expression or feeling of disapproval or opposition, a reason for disagreeing. In other words, the action of challenging or disagreeing with someone. So it's a disagreement. That's really all it is. Objection is disagreement. So James tells me that my CMA says your home is worth $300,000. Well, James, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciated your time, but I feel my house is worth $500,000. That's an objection. That's a hard disagreement. Now, some people mistake that with a stall. The stall would be something that is preventing me from making a decision. So for instance, and then it would be in a definition sense of the word, it would be let me see, a stop or cause, stop or cause to stop making progress. So anything that stops the progression of that sale is a stall. So I want you guys to always drill that into your head. Know the difference between objection and a stall. So James, what is one of the most common objections that you get when you're prospecting or you're in a listing appointment? What is it that you hear a lot of? What are the top 3 or 5 things?
I'd say, agreement on price, agreement on commission.
Yeah, objection on commission is big.
Definitely objection on commission. I actually been getting asked a lot if, I'll be present at the open houses if they give me a listing, because I know a lot of us have a tendency, you get the listing and then you send, somebody else to sit the open house. It seems like if we've made progress with the seller and they've allowed us to do the listing, that they want me personally sitting at the listing, which I do, but it gets hard when you have multiple, houses listed. And then also, I guess the last one would be the time frames that they allow people to see it. Because a couple of my recent listings, they've been very restrictive. So we agree on the price, we agree on the commission, and then they say they can only show it after 6 Monday through Friday. And of course, I say fine, we'll work around that. But in my head, I'm like, that could be a problem.
Absolutely. Anything and everything could be a problem. When you're selling a home, you have to be very flexible. I know that people are very mistrusting and things of of that nature. And I totally get it. I mean, I have listings and I've had listings in the past where doors are left open, lights are left on, it's crazy. Anything can happen in these houses. So I totally understand that. James, we're going to cover one of the things that you just said right now, and then we'll get back to the training. So someone wants James to sit the open house. And now this is probably going to be a very, very valuable takeaway for James, because James works really hard. He's got multiple listings. And if you guys don't know who James is, James Delomo is, he's a full-time real estate agent. When I first met James, he worked with us at Culture. And then James went on to do a couple of different things in different real estate companies. But James has come back around and joined us here at eXp Realty. And now James is a much more seasoned agent with a lot more experience under his belt. But I'm going to give James right now just kind of an angle that I would take, because one thing I'm really big on, James, is having balance, and especially nowadays, having balance between work and your personal life. So Sundays for a lot of you guys is probably your family day, or probably your day that you wish you could take off, but as a real estate agent, we've made those sacrifices. So let's just say that James wants Sunday off for himself, and he doesn't even know if he needs it off, but he would like it off. So at the listing appointment, the seller is going to say to me, oh, James, thank you, for taking our listing. But one of the things we want to make sure of is that you're going to sit at our open house this weekend, or the first weekend that you do it. James would normally say, you know what, I'll make it happen. That's normally his approach. And, he'll try to figure it out later how he can be 2 places at once. But what if James said, you know what, let's agree with them, because obviously that's what we're learning today, right? Let's agree with the seller. Says, absolutely, I definitely understand how important it is for myself to be at the open house. But let me ask you a question. Why do you think it's so important for myself to be present as opposed to, let's say, one of the agents on my team? And then the seller might say, well, James, I want the experience there. I want somebody who's taking my listing to not just take it, and then, obviously never see them again. I want to make sure that, you're working hard on this. Okay, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And if I was in your position, I'd probably be thinking the same way. But this is something I need you to understand. Monday through Saturday, I am consistently working to make sure that your listing is getting shown, that your appointments are getting scheduled, that I'm following up with real estate agents on the showings, and that all your marketing is in place. Now, do you think that a person who works Monday through Saturday should probably deserve at least one day with their family? Ask them that question. Like, yeah, of course. I mean, everybody does. Well, I just wanted to let you know that when I first got started in this business, I used to work 7 days a week, and I burned myself out, and it really came at the detriment of my relationship with my family. But I promised myself a long time ago, or maybe you could say I promised myself in 2021, that I would at least make Sundays available for my family. So it's not that I don't want to be at your open house, but I need you to understand that I do have priorities that come before work. So having someone at your open house, I'm not just going to put an agent who's never conducted an open house before. I'm going to put an agent at your open house who's actually done more open houses than myself, and someone who's going to be able to communicate with me even while the open house is going on, letting me know if there's any problems, letting me know if they need backup, letting me know if they have an offer. So I will be there in spirit, and I will be only a phone call away. Is that something you think you could agree with? And then once you tell that story and you set the expectations correct in the very beginning, James, it's much easier for you to have that Sunday off. Now, don't tell me you want to spend the weekend with your family and then they catch you at another open house, because then you're gonna look like you're lying. If the fact is that you're overcommitted to doing open houses, and then you can come up with a story like, yes, I would love to do your open house, but I just have to let you know that you chose me because I have a lot of experience, and along with a lot of experience also comes other listings that I do have. So what I do is I do a rotation. I may not be at your first open house, I might be at the second open house, but I will let you know that depending on when this house goes on the market, if I don't have another open house scheduled for that weekend, I will definitely be there. But if I'm not, one of my associates will be here who has extensive experience holding open houses, and I'll be just a phone call away, and we'll be able to communicate with each other. And not only that, but I'll be sending people from my other open house over to your house. Wow, they're gonna be like, oh, that sounds great. That sounds really good. So James, do you think that's something that maybe you could take away for next time that you're sitting at a listing appointment and you get asked that question about the open house?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely try. I like while you're going through it, I'm saying, okay, they're going to think I'm still like, I don't know, weak or, trying to blow them off. But when you brought in the fact that I'm going to have somebody come there who is very experienced, even more than me at open houses, and will communicate with me during that open house, I think that's a great line right there.
Good.
Thanks, Louis.
Something away, no worries. Let's go back to the training, guys, and see what we can learn from good old Uncle G. All right, let's see what we got here. Salespeople are constantly trying to sell and negotiate by disagreement. This is the proper way to sell. We know that's false. And let's see what else we got. The ability to agree with a customer is senior to all other selling. True. Agreement is not manipulation. It is communication or understanding. I think it's communicating.
Understanding.
Oh man, sorry.
It was under, yeah.
Sorry. You got 100, Tabby, and I got a 67. I would have failed my real estate exam if that was the case. Let's go. What do we got?
Hey, let's help you with earning and securing full trust from your buyer. Okay. In this segment, you're going to discover exactly how to get trust. And in so doing, you will increase your effectiveness. Because of a handful of unethical salespeople who have misrepresented the benefits of their products, customers can sometimes not trust you if you've ever had that experience. TV news, broadcasts, papers, constantly running stories of scams and cons makes consumers skeptical of salespeople. This skepticism keeps people on guard, prevents the salesperson, you, from correctly establishing the trust critical to ever getting a decision, maybe even to selling your product and showing the features and benefits. So regardless of the cause of distrust, it doesn't matter where it came from. It's critical, however, that you're aware of the possible lack of trust and that you tackle it. Distrust in a sales cycle is not the buyer's problem. Okay, you heard what I said? Distrust is not the buyer's problem, it's your problem. If the buyer doesn't trust you or your company or what you're saying, your presentation, then the information that you'll be offering will be minimized, challenged, shopped, maybe even thrown in the trash. See, of course, the buyer, your buyer, will make a decision. When they leave and don't do something, that is a decision. It's just not the decision you wanted. When the buyer decides to think about it, to put it off, that's a decision. It's just not the one you wanted. The decision to shop is always the cause of some level of distrust. Do you hear what I said? To shop, to think, to put it off, stalls are always the cause of some level of distrust. If the buyer had full and complete confidence in you, the product, the terms, the company, they would hook up and they do it now. A salesperson always gets a decision. Always. They decided to think about it, sleep on it, put it off. That's a decision. They agreed to keep the product they have and not make a trade. That's a decision. They decided that it was, better for them to, or more for them than they can afford. That's a decision. They decided to present it to the board, to the accountant, to the CEO, to their tax advisor. That was a decision. They decided to go buy the competition's product. That is a decision, obviously one you don't like. Why? Distrust. Something they didn't trust, something they weren't completely secure about. Each of these decisions that aren't favorable to you are because of you. Look, when the buyer doesn't trust you, or something about the presentation, or something about somebody in the company, okay, they're going to add time to the cycle by not making a decision to purchase. Even if you manage to close the deal, the unhandled element of distrust will almost always guarantee future problems, even after delivery. When a salesperson understands what is going on in the mind of the customer, you have stepped into the area that only the professional delves into. This is beyond selling now. This is beyond what he's saying or communicating. This is picking up on the other things. You know when people don't trust you. See, the unspoken thoughts of the customer is a phenomenal, almost infinite field to start playing in. And again, we're not looking at what the buyer says now, but looking at the trust level. We're looking at what's going on behind the scenes in the customer's mind. When a salesperson is willing to go there, to that place, to that point, and be responsible, hey, you've moved from from painting to being an artist. All my studies in sales over the last 25 years have involved this depth of the customer, not just his money, not just the product. Hey, what's really going on? What I want you to get right now is this. Number one, trust is critical. I know you know that. Trust is critical. You need to hear this over and over, man. Trust is everything in this cycle. Number two, if you don't get the sale, something is not trusted. This is what people are a little bit, you're too flexible on. If you don't get the sale, you're going to know what? Not trusted. Something's not trusted. Number three, know this. Every decision is a decision. So you've got to build trust. Okay, we're going to do that in later segments. But right now, I want you to know this. No decision means a decision, and something's not trusted.
All right, that was good. That was a good rule of thumb there, guys. That trust is critical. Obviously, that's what we always say, that when you want to build rapport, before we get to any of the nitty gritty. So that's something I think we've always been ingrained to do. And if you don't get the sale, then that means that you weren't trusted. That's a real deep way to look at it. If you walk away not getting the sale, it's that you haven't built enough trust yet. You haven't built enough rapport yet. And one of the things that comes to my mind when we say this is that on last Friday's call with Micah, when we do our agent attraction call, one of the agents there said that, I'm setting up a lot of appointments and I'm talking to a lot of agents, but I just can't get anyone to want to convert over to eXp Realty. And, not everyone at eXp Realty wants to convert agents or attract agents. This is a special group. So don't think for 1 second, guys, that this is something that, you're forced to do, or she was forced to do. This is something she's trying to get better at. So she asked the group, and then Micah had asked me, what do I think about that? And what I think about it is that I said, listen, no one's going to want to join you until they see that you're number one, that you're doing it yourself, that you're being very active and that you're being very successful. Nobody is going to want to join someone that seems that all they're doing with their time is trying to attract other agents, but literally have nothing else going on. I said, look, you look really thirsty that way. You have to make sure that the people you attract on are coming on because they're attracted to you. Because if they don't see you, they don't see you doing it, they're not going to trust you, because a show is much more powerful than a tell. And I've learned that from our coaches in the past, that you have to show people. So when you show someone, when you talk to someone about EXP, or when you talk to a seller about getting their listing, you have to make sure that they see with their own eyes what you're trying to convey as well. And not only that, but that they feel like they can trust you. And trust sometimes, guys, not sometimes, but the majority of times, is not built on the first call, is not built on the first meeting. It's earned over time. So keep in mind, selling is a long-term thing. It's not a one day to the next. So with that being said, if you look at the statistics, any phone sale, the majority of the phone sales are done after the sixth contact, after 6 times of contacting them. And in the very beginning, it's not like, hey, can I get your listing right away? That's not the first conversation, right? It's always kind of like getting to know the person, figuring them out, asking questions, restatements, like that's all we're doing. And to the point where they feel like, you know what? Yeah, this is the right thing for me to do. And almost kind of like have themselves almost convince themselves that you're the right person for that job. So what I told the girl was, listen, you just need to spend more time with them, but you need to spend more time with them in a very non-abrasive, organic way. I said, you're taking people who you might have acquaintances with, who you really don't have a relationship with, and you're trying to ask them to marry you before they've even dated you, basically, is what I explained to her. So same thing goes in sales, guys. Like, you have to kind of like really know the person on the other side. You have to know the client, because if you don't know them and they don't know you, there's really no way for them to trust you and make that sale. So yeah, and then when they don't make a decision on the phone or in person, they don't make a decision, they don't go with you. It's not that they hate you. It's not. It's that they don't know you enough. There's no real connection there yet. Now it's up to you now at that point, whether you're gonna give up at that point or you're gonna continue on. Because remember, continuing on, guys, it might be no for today. It might be a no today. It doesn't mean it's a no forever. That's something I want you guys to keep in mind. It's a no for today. It's not a no forever. Think about that when next time you contact a for sale by owner, or next time you contact someone who's a potential hot listing. They might tell you a story. They might tell you a stall. They might tell you something that doesn't really flow with what you're expecting, but it's just momentary. And then what you do is you go back to the drawing board, decipher the conversation you had with them. Sometimes if you're doing it on the phone, guys, it's good to maybe record yourself and kind of listen back and say, what did I say that I could have improved on? And what was said in the conversation that I completely missed? Because maybe they gave you the keys and you didn't figure it out. Maybe they said something that you completely skipped over because you were too nervous or you're too busy trying to think about the next thing to say, as opposed to actively listening. So good things for you guys to take away from this. So that way, next time you go to the next conversation with that person, better armed and better prepared. So what do you guys have to add? Because I'm not going to play another one because we're already coming up to the top of the hour. Do you guys have anything to add to today's training, today's lesson that we covered with Grant here?
It's very helpful, and I'm glad that you're doing it on these meetings, because I feel like I don't have time to do this on my own. But I get a little conflicted because being that I don't have the experience of selling yet, sometimes like even with Agent Success Kickstarter as well as this, I almost feel like I'm getting like a little ahead of myself. Not with this one so much,
Yeah.
but like, for example, if you remember, I made a goal to finish Agent Success Kickstarter by a certain time. But after talking to Micah, she's like, girl, you need to get deals first. Like, screw the programs. Like, you need to know a little bit more about your deals. So do you feel like, for me in my position, this is different than Agent Success Kickstarter, where it's actually helpful from a beginning point, like, me being able to sell now in Jersey for less than 3 months?
Yeah, no, I've always said that the best way for you to learn is when your money's on the line. So if you can start getting deals in your pipeline, and at the same time, like maybe start actively prospecting too, because remember, this is not just about closing deals. This is also about getting deals. Sales is more important than actually closings. Do you know why sales are more important than closings?
Because the sales is the beginning part that gets you to the closing. So the more practice you get selling, the more probability of you getting the closings.
Yeah, because sales are at the top of the funnel, exactly. So the more sales you can get, the more closings you get. You know, one person, I remember this very, very, very clearly. When I first got started in real estate, I was working at a real estate company. It was a Century 21 at that point. No, was it? No, it was a Prudential. It was a Prudential at that point. And there was this one guy, and I think he even worked with us at a different real estate company prior to that. And he was very good. He was very good at putting deals together. But one of the agents there who was in management used to always criticize him. I think he was a little jealous of him. He used to always criticize him and say, yeah, he's really good at getting deals, but he doesn't know how to close them. And you know what I thought to myself? I was like, who cares that he doesn't know how to close them? He can hire somebody to close it for him. He could pay somebody to close them. Because what I'm saying there is that it's a real skill to acquire new deals. It's not such a skill to close them, because once they're in the queue, you just need someone to micromanage. So what I want you guys to get really good at is get really good at getting people to trust you and want to work with you. That way you can afford to pay somebody to close them for you. You know, if that makes sense to you guys, you know, because once you're a rainmaker, guys, the world is opened up to you. The world is your oyster at that point. You could do whatever you want as long as you know how to sell, and you know how to bring in deals, bring in money, bring in opportunities. That's all you need in life, guys. That's how you write your own checks. That's how you write your ticket to success. So keep that in mind. Every week we'll cover some sort of selling, because that's the most critical thing here for us to get really good at. And we'll go from there. So thank you, guys. Anyone else want to add anything to this before we go?
It's just, James, yeah, to follow on your point, yeah, to be honest, what took me so long to get onto this first meeting is because I was coming from the other place and I had like 6 active listings. So I'm like, trying to close them out, but I'm more somebody who just focuses on business, the sale. So I wanted to get a bunch of listings rolling here, which I have, but I did have I don't know, something popped into my head on like Friday or Saturday. I'm not big on trying to, promote myself and all that kind of stuff. I just want to get sales, and listings. But thinking back to when I was at Culture, how important these meetings are. So I want to, now that I have, stuff in the pipeline too, kind of want to work in, and hear everybody else's expertises and suggestions, because, there's so much to learn. So, that's very valuable. This is a great meeting.
Thank you, James, for being on the call. We all get inspired by hearing stories like yours. When James came to us at Culture, he was a part-time agent, and usually part-time agents, their careers are ticking time bombs. They usually don't make it because it's hard. Real estate's hard enough when you do it full-time. Doing it part-time is extremely hard. But James is one to beat the odds, and I remember the day he came and said, I quit my job. I'm a full-time agent now. And from that point on, his career took off. Like, right, James? You remember that? I remember when you first said that.
Oh, it was scary, because I remember you telling me at some point, you're like, just do it. You just have to, quit what you're doing. Because I was in corporate America for over 20 years. And then I was, doing consulting when I met you, to try to get going in real estate. And I have such a negative view of corporate after, I was there and they downsized because of, the market crash and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I'm not going back to corporate. I want to make my own money. But you're right, it was hard. And then I had a couple of good months in a row, and everything started to pile up. And I was just like, I cannot do this part-time job and service the customers. I remember talking to you, you're like, you pulled the trigger. So I did it. And that's scary, because I was used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks for over 20 years, and it was hard, but it takes time, but I'm very happy I did it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, James. I appreciate you sharing that story with us. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and close out with our prayer, and everyone can get on with their day and their busy week, I'm sure. Thank you, Lord. We appreciate, Father, you having us here once again, Father, in this dynamic group that we have. Father, thank you so much for allowing all the members here to be healthy and safe, Father. We thank you for all the little things in our life, Father, such as the food on our plate, Father, the health of our families, Father, the roof over our heads. And we only ask you, Father, to continue working on us and make us into better individuals where we can be role models, Father, for those around us. Thank you for all of you provided, Father, and we ask you to continue blessing us with strength, vitality, and most importantly, Father, give us the ability to keep progressing in our lives, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing
Thank you.
Thanks, Louis.
All
Bye,
right,
everyone.
guys.